Premier League Match Week 37. I'm Oscar Moneyball, and I'll be using my cutting edge match simulator to help us predict the scores, win probabilities, and goal scoring options for all of this weekend's games. We have 10 games in the slate. We have the title race that's still going on between Arsenal and Man City, and Liverpool that just won that Champions League spot. Aston Villa dropped dramatically and had a horrible week where they lost to Brighton, got eliminated from the Conference League, and they have a tough game this weekend against Liverpool. So this could be a good opportunity for those other teams that want that fourth place spot and that want to compete next year in European soccer. Match 1. Let's go straight into it. Make sure we transition as always. Otherwise it'd be really bad to record this video and not have the right screen on. My apologies as well. I have construction going on in my house, so you may hear that throughout the video, as well as just the refrigerator, I believe, is what's making this static noise. But we move on forward. It is what it is. Match 1. Fulham receiving Manchester City. Expected goals for Fulham 1.0. Expected goals for Manchester City 1.9. Win probability for Fulham is 20%. For Manchester City, 57% to win this game. They are the favorites, and the over 0.5 goals for Fulham is 63% versus 84% for Manchester City. The over 1.5 goals is 27% for Fulham and 56% for Manchester City. What this is telling us is that Fulham has been really consistent in, not receiving a lot of goals, especially in this last half of the season. They've been really solid, especially at home, and it could be a little bit tough for Manchester City to bag more than one goal in this game. They're highly likely to score that first goal, so it could be a 0-0 match throughout the entire game. And then Manchester City, when they have to put their foot on the gas, as they are fighting for the title, they could potentially see a late goal here. Now that's just me painting out the worst possible outcome for Manchester City. I highly believe that they will win this match, and if they can score 2 goals and not receive one, that'd be great. We move on to match 2. Let's make sure we zoom in and we adjust this. Match 2, Bournemouth versus Brentford. A Brentford squad that disappointed me last week, although they got the point, versus who did they play last week? I believe it was Fulham. But regardless, Brentford at home, very solid. Bournemouth just lost last week away, so this could be a good game for both of these teams to get the 3 points. In my opinion, Bournemouth at home are a better team than Brentford away. However, I'm not a match simulator, I'm just a man, so the match simulator tells us here expected goals for Bournemouth is 1.3, for Brentford 1.4. The win probability does give the edge to Brentford, as they have 40% probability to win the match and 34% for Bournemouth. The 0.5 goals in this game for Bournemouth is 72%, while for Brentford it's 75%. The over 1.5 for Bournemouth is 37% and 41% for Brentford. This will be an interesting match. I do believe Thomas Frank is more than capable to manage this type of game, especially where, to end the season in the right way. There's only one match left after this weekend, so everything that they can improve on, carry on forward into the summer, would be great for Thomas Frank and the rest of the squad. Match 3, Everton that I had a huge feeling that they would get relegated this season with the way they were just losing points and getting treated. However, they've been able to get some positive results. Last week they tied 1-1 versus Luton Town. Luton Town was the team that needed to go for the W, so Everton was comfortable with sitting tight and waiting for Luton's attack for them to transition forward. I thought it would be a blow-to-blow game where we'd see maybe a 2-2 scoreline. It ended up being 1-1. Unfortunately, that's soccer. Sometimes that's football. This weekend they're playing against Sheffield United that's already been relegated. It's official, and I don't know why teams that announce their relegation or make their relegation official so early tend to give us their best games after the fact. Maybe once the pressure is gone, they got nothing to lose. That could be it. Everton expected goals 1.8 versus Sheffield United's 0.7. Everton are the favorites to win here. They have 64% out of 64% to win this match and 40% for Sheffield United to win this match. The over 0.5 goals for Everton is 82%. For Sheffield United, it's 47%. The over 1.5 for Everton is 52% and Sheffield United is at 14%. We move on forward. Match 4, Newcastle United versus Brighton. Newcastle that have in the past 2 weeks been blowing out their competition. They have been playing against some weaker teams, you could say, bottom of the table. Brighton hasn't had the best season. However, they did get a positive result against Aston Villa last week, and they can carry on forward with that confidence. They did really good at shutting out Aston Villa. The expected goals for Aston Villa was ridiculously low. Newcastle United expected goals is 2.5 versus Brighton's 1.2. Newcastle are the favorites to win, 62% versus 16% for Brighton. The over 0.5 goals for Newcastle, there you go, is at 87%, and for Brighton we have 66% to score over 0.5 goals. The over 1.5 for Newcastle is 66% and 31% for Brighton. This, in my opinion, will be one of the best games to watch. Moving forward, we have Tottenham versus Burnley, a Tottenham squad that need this win. They've just been playing really bad soccer in the last couple of weeks. They haven't been clicking. They've been conceding a lot of goals. So this could be a positive result. However, it is against Burnley. Burnley is gonna fight tooth and nail and could get dirty just to save themselves from being relegated. This could be a potential upset based on Tottenham's current form. Expected goals for Tottenham, however, in the simulator is 2.4 versus Burnley's 1.1. The win probability for Tottenham, they are obviously the favorites, 61% versus 17% for Burnley. The over 0.5 goals for Tottenham is 87% versus 65% for Burnley. The over 1.5 for Tottenham is 65% versus 30% for Burnley. If Tottenham really want to be, change things around based off their current form, keeping the clean sheet and scoring a goal would be crucial for this squad. It's very possible, and that would just put Burnley in a very tight spot. And we move forward. Match 6, West Ham versus Luton Town. West Ham got demolished last week by Cole Palmer and his friends. Chelsea squad killed this team, but we're not talking about Chelsea. We're talking about West Ham. A West Ham squad at home that's defensively solid, has great midfield, and a Luton Town that is desperate for whatever points they can get. But if it could be three, that's even better. It's not a close game, however, as the expected goals for West Ham is 2.0 versus Luton Town's 1.2. West Ham are the favorites to win at 54% versus 23% for Luton Town. The over 0.5 goals for West Ham is at 84% versus 69%. 69% for Luton Town. The over 1.5 for West Ham is 57% and 33% for Luton Town. My thoughts on this game, it's another relegation game. Anything could happen. West Ham have been sloppy in the back, and they have conceded some goals, so I could see this game in particular being a both teams score. Other than that, I wouldn't pick a winner on this one based off their current form. Match 7, Wolverhampton versus Crystal Palace. Crystal Palace has just been outstanding these last couple of weeks. I am surprised they are not the favorites. Wolverhampton has been in a decline as of lately. I've mentioned that every video. They seem to be back at their form where we expected them to be. Just not even a middle of the table squad, most like bottom third. But they are playing against a Crystal Palace team that has just been phenomenal these last couple of weekends. They recently just came from winning against Manchester United at home 4-0. And this game against Wolverhampton could see some upside on the bets, as here we see that the game's pretty even. Expected goals for Wolverhampton is 1.2 and 1.1 for Crystal Palace. The win probability is 38% for Wolverhampton and 34% for Crystal Palace, giving us a big margin there for either team to pick up that win, or potentially there's a double chance there. The over 0.5 goals for Wolverhampton is 70% and 67% for Crystal Palace. Over 1.5 goals is 34% for Wolverhampton, 31% for Crystal Palace. I'd get a little ballsy on this one and would definitely give the win to Crystal Palace just based off their form. They have better players. Even though Wolverhampton is home, Crystal Palace I think has the quality to win this. Match 8, Nottingham Forest versus Chelsea. Nottingham Forest that seems to do really well at home against the Chelsea squad that has just been on top of their game lately. Cole Palmer and friends have been delivering and scoring a lot of goals. As of lately, they've been able to do well with the clean sheet, more specifically against West Ham. They weren't able to do that versus Tottenham. But that's a lot of goals in 1 week for this Chelsea squad, so we can potentially see a pullback here where they don't necessarily score over 1.5 goals here. As you can see here, expected goals for both teams is it's tied at 1.5. The win probability gives Chelsea a slight edge. 39% for Chelsea to win this game, 36% for Nottingham to win this one. And with Nottingham Forest fighting for relegation, this could be a great battle for us and an entertaining game. Those English Premier League relegation games that we love to see at the end of the season. The over 0.5 goals for Nottingham Forest is 76% and 77% for Chelsea, very even there. The over 1.5 goals, however, we do see that Chelsea have an edge there, 63% versus Nottingham Forest 42%. And we move forward to match 9 on Sunday, Manchester United versus Arsenal. Can Manchester United help out Manchester City and make this title race even clearer, or will we see Arsenal taking this game as they are expected based off the simulation? Manchester United expected goals 0.7, Arsenal expected goals 2.2. Arsenal's form is the best when they are away. The win probability for Manchester United is at a low 11% and at a very high for Arsenal, 69% to win this one. The over 0.5 goals, 50% for Manchester United, 87% for Arsenal. The over 1.5 goals for Manchester United is at a very low 16% and 63% for Arsenal. I could definitely see potentially Manchester City drawing against Fulham, tying with points with with Arsenal, and then heading on to Matchweek 38, which will be the last weekend. Manchester City does play their game on Tuesday versus Tottenham, so they do have a busy schedule, maybe one that they don't like, but that's the way it is. Very entertaining English Premier League that we have this season with the title race going on. And match 10 on Monday, Aston Villa versus Liverpool. Aston Villa that have just been having a really disappointing week. I'm sure Unai Emery is furious as they only got to the semifinal of the Conference League and lost to a team that on paper shouldn't have won. It is what it is. and they're receiving Liverpool. Liverpool that just came from a dominant win versus Tottenham. They did allow some goals there, 4-2. We could potentially see this game being a both team score, as Liverpool have not been so defensively strong as of lately. They did concede goals in the Europa League, got eliminated from that. They've been conceding goals lately. I definitely see Aston Villa scoring here. Expected goals for Aston Villa 1.6. Expected goals for Liverpool is a 1.8. The win probability for Aston Villa is 34%. Very high for both of these teams, given the fact that they're playing against each other and regarding their strengths and weaknesses. 42% for Liverpool to win this one. They do have the edge. The over 0.5 goals is 79% for Aston Villa, 82% for Liverpool. As I mentioned, this does look very favorable for both teams to score. The over 1.5 goals for Aston Villa is 47% and 52% for Liverpool. Some of the picks that I would feel comfortable with based off this and just recent form, I would definitely not see Manchester City scoring a lot of goals here. They do have a tough game, so I'd stay away from that one. I'd maybe just go with the double chance Manchester City. I don't think they'll lose it, but that could be what makes the end of the season that much more entertaining. Sorry, I'd stay away from that one. The Bournemouth versus Brentford, I think of both teams to score there would be interesting, especially with how Bournemouth and Brentford both could use the 3 points. Feel comfortable with that. Stay away from Everton versus Sheffield. They got nothing to play for there. Newcastle United versus Brighton. This will be a great game, as I mentioned. I can see this game going over 2.5 goals. Tottenham Burnley. I'd probably go with Tottenham to keep a clean sheet here. They could use it. They could definitely use it. And receiving Manchester City, they got to work their defensive. They got to work on the defensive transitions and defense overall. This would be the perfect game to build that confidence. Both teams don't score here, and Tottenham keeps the clean sheet. I'd say Tottenham win this one 2-0. I'd go Crystal Palace to win. I'd give Nottingham Forest a double chance on this one. And both teams to score maybe over 2.5 goals for Aston Villa versus Liverpool, just based off the data here. Alright, well, we reached the end of the video. These long-winded videos that are very, very fun to make. As I mentioned, I collect this data, I input the data in this Google Sheet manually every week, try to keep it updated for you guys, and try to create this content for everybody to consume as while I was in my journey of trying to learn and trying to find entertainment on YouTube, Twitter, whatever platform you guys watch. I didn't come across a lot of this type of data. It was just more betting predictions without any real backing, or just there wasn't real data analysis behind it or anything like that. So this is something fresh for you guys. I hope you guys enjoy it. Let me know in the comments what you think will happen this weekend, who you think will win the title for the English Premier League this season. Are there any results here that you don't agree with? Who would you give the edge to? Would you give the edge to Crystal Palace or Wolverhampton? Do you think Manchester United will be able to hold off Arsenal? What do you think about the game between Everton and Sheffield United? I know I'm kind of just spitballing here, but let me know what you think about any game. Thank you guys so much. Have a beautiful weekend. Hug your loved ones. Drink some water. Take a shot for me. And we're out.